All right, we welcome back to the show Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell. Senator, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to you and Elaine. Thanks for coming back on the show. I know you're busy. I know everybody's asking you the question about Joe Manchin, so I'll ask you that question. I know you're not going to break any news, but how's this recruitment effort going?
Well, it looks to me like they're trying to run him off. You know, last Sunday, the White House called him a liar. And it sort of underscores, Larry, the core problem here. There aren't any moderate Democrats left in the Senate, with the possible exception of just two, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Joe, for example, is the only pro-life Democrat left in the Senate. They've all gone hard left. They've all signed on to Bernie Sanders' vision of a socialist American future. And so Joe is really out of place. He represents a very red state, a very different kind of state from today's Democratic Party. You know, back when Barack Obama was president, we still had some moderate Democrats, but they've all disappeared. So that explains why he is so literally out of place. He's done the country a great favor here at Christmas by killing this bill. Obviously, Schumer's not going to give up. They're going to kind of keep going back and going back and going back. It reminds me of that movie Fatal Attraction. Remember Glenn Close?
Yes.
Just kept coming back. That's the way.
That's a very risque reference, Senator McConnell. Yes, sir.
It's sort of like the reckless taxing spill. You know, every time you think you kill the damn thing, it keeps coming back. And so I'm not going to predict it's over forever. But look, I think the fundamental thing here is surely Manchin must recognize that he is completely in the wrong camp. If he came over to our side, we have moderates. We treat them well. We have people like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins. Now, we don't call them liars. We don't try to run them off. There's a place for moderate in a Republican conference in the Senate. Do I expect Joe to do that? No, I don't expect him to, but he'd certainly be welcome.
Well, I mean, have you offered a Republican Senator Joe Manchin could still be the chair of the Energy Committee, which he presides over now?
We've never started negotiating over this because he's never indicated he was willing to do it. But I think clearly there'd be a place for him on our side that he would find satisfying, and he'd be in the middle of a lot of friends rather than people who are attacking him on a virtually daily basis.
A month or so ago, maybe 3 weeks on this show, your colleague, Senator John Thune, and I were talking about this. I said to him, I said, John, you're a big deal. You're in the leadership. Are you wooing Senator Manchin? And Senator Thune said to me that he had offered to mow Manchin's lawn every weekend. I just wonder if that offer is still on the table. It could turn the tide.
Well, look, we talk to Joe all the time. This isn't the first time he's felt out of place. It's just the most obvious time with a bill of this magnitude. But look, regardless of how that ultimately plays out, Manchin has done the country an enormous favor here at Christmas time by killing this bill. It is exactly the wrong prescription for what America needs at this particular time with this raging inflation, 40-year high inflation rate. This is exactly the wrong thing to do, and I admire Joe Manchin for killing it, at least so far.
Yeah, well, I've been a big supporter, Save America, Kill the Bill. He's been a hero. Now, as you said before, sir, the Democrats are going to come back. Schumer's going to come back after the new year and try to throw something out on the board. I don't know what it's going to be. I wonder what you're thinking about this. When will they put a new Democratic substitute in? What might it look like? Is there any chance of getting a regular order, you know, so you have committee hearings with experts and let the public see in full view all these crazy programs? What are you thinking about the next Schumer move?
Well, regretfully, I'm not the majority leader, so I don't get to decide that. But if I'm in Schumer's position, he's still going to try to come up with some version of this monstrosity to get Joe Biden to buy. He's also got to sell it to Kyrsten Sinema, who, as you know, Larry, is opposed to raising the corporate rate, the individual rate, and the cap gains rate. Mm-hmm. Those were all significant accomplishments when you were in the Trump administration and we passed the 2017 tax bill. Sinema is very reluctant to change the tax rates. So she has a different view of what this bill ought to ultimately look like. So she and Manchin are not exactly Siamese twins here on this issue. They have different concerns. Schumer's got a tough job. Look, the core problem is here, they didn't have a mandate to do any of this. Mm-hmm. A 50-50 Senate, a 3-seat majority in the House. The American people didn't vote to turn us into a socialist country. And that's why they're having a hard time selling it.
Senator, are you thinking in terms of the Republican Senate strategy next year, leading up to the midterms? Have you or anybody else thought about putting up a Republican substitute on the Senate floor? You know, let's say make the Trump tax cuts permanent. Maybe we should reduce social spending, cut out all these crazy energy subsidies and a lot of the woke stuff that's in there. And, you know, if you had a Republican substitute, might that be a strategy to run on? You might even get Joe Manchin to vote for the Republican bill, since he's going to vote against the Democratic bill.
Well, unfortunately, he voted against the 2017 tax bill that you and I worked on, which produced the most prosperous America in February of 2020 we'd had in 50 years. So our goal in the minority is to try to protect the 2017 tax bill. It was the right thing to do for the country. These rates do not need to be taken up, and we do not need to go on a reckless taxing and spending spree. So protecting the best of what we did over the last 4 years is job one for us. If we can get that through that to 22, then what I say, Larry, is we can finally make Joe Biden be the moderate he promised he was going to be in the 2020 election by having a Republican House and Senate in 22. We can guarantee he'll be a moderate for the rest of his term.
So you don't expect to have a Republican substitute for the bill? You're just saying, let's just hold them off until the cavalry comes in November.
Well, I don't want to substitute our version of a $2 trillion spending. In other words, I don't think we ought to be engaging in priming the pump anymore. We already dropped $2 trillion on a party line basis on the economy earlier this year. We don't think we need to have an alternative to this. We think the things that were accomplished in 2017 had achieved an economy that was the best in 50 years. It's not broken. These tax rates don't need to go up. We don't need to do more rampant spending. We don't need to add to the $29 trillion debt. We need to stop doing that.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. Amen to all that. I'm just saying a substitute. Now, this may not work. I'm just saying if you had a Republican substitute, a plan, like years ago, Newt Gingrich had a plan with the contract with America. That was a long time ago. I'm just raising the possibility where you would cut spending, you would cut social spending, you would cut out all the Green New Deal subsidies, and you would preserve and make permanent the Trump tax cuts.
Yeah, all of that is possible and achievable if you're in the majority and have a president who's willing to sign the bill.
All right, I get it. I guess last point, what is your strategy, your messaging strategy, Senator McConnell, for the midterms, okay? Let's assume we're going to get through the winter. We're going to stop, we're going to kill the bill or kill a second bill as we killed the first bill. We're going to save America. Going towards the midterms in November, what is your preferred strategy, your preferred messaging strategy?
If you look at American history, a midterm election 2 years into a first term is a report card on the performance of the administration. Inevitably, whether we had a 10-point program or not, the American people are going to give Joe Biden and this Democratic Congress a midterm report card. if the election were held today, they would fail. I think the problems are so intractable. They've created so much incompetence. For example, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, that they're going to have a very hard time getting a passing grade a year from now. So whether I think it's important for individual candidates to say what they're for, but this election will be, in fact, a referendum on the performance of this Democratic government the first 2 years, and I think we're going to have a very good year next November.
Amen. Senator McConnell, again, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, sir. Thanks for coming back on. All best of luck.
Merry Christmas to you, Larry.